Hi everyone, it's Duchess. If there's one area of the gaming industry I have consistently avoided, it's fan-made games. I can't even pinpoint why I've steered clear of them. It's always been an instinctive decision whenever I stumbled across them while navigating the internet. There was just something unsettling about playing a game using Nintendo IP that wasn't actually made by Nintendo. Which, again, is odd for me considering I'm a huge advocate for fan-made content and media, like fan art and fanfiction. Anything that sparks creativity in people has always been a plus in my book, except for fan games. But that line of thinking was wrong. Recently, I've decided to confront my aversion to fan-made games by diving headfirst into the community and exploring what it has to offer. I chose to start with Pokémon fan games since even I knew from my internet browsing that the Pokémon fan community was incredibly active. Games like Pokémon Coral and ChaosBlack not only exist, but even have custom cartridges sold at flea markets. I actually stumbled across one of these cartridges and it sparked my curiosity to delve deeper into this world. Let me show you what I discovered. I received some Pokémon GBA cartridges that were clearly identified as bootlegs. I didn't mind since they were a gift and they still function as a valid way to transfer Pokémon to other games, including legitimate copies. Plus, I already own authentic versions of Pokémon Fire Red and the original Red. However, among these cartridges was a mysteriously unlabeled blue GBA cart. I was informed it contained a ROM hack, and just like that, my curiosity was instantly piqued. I wasn't told which ROM hack was on the cartridge, but as soon as I got home, I eagerly inserted it into my Game Boy Advance. I was greeted by the Pokémon ChaosBlack title screen. Apart from the altered title, I quickly realized the game didn't play much differently from Fire Red, which was somewhat disappointing. I had expected a completely different experience, but the main change seemed to be a roster of different Pokémon to collect. Don't get me wrong, that's not terrible. However, when someone chooses to play a ROM hack, I think most people are looking for an experience that's dramatically different from the game is based on. This experience led me down a rabbit hole of research seeking out what players considered the best Pokémon fan games. It didn't take long to discover that the general consensus among gamers was that Pokémon Unbound is currently considered the cream of the crop in Pokémon fan games. I wasted no time in getting my hands on it, but once I did, I faced a new challenge. How was I actually going to play it? I found myself faced with several options, and in true completionist fashion, I decided to try them all. I downloaded the ROM to my computer, but realized that playing a GBA ROM on a modern display just didn't feel right. So I shifted gears and loaded it onto my phone to play using Pizza Boy A. Even that didn't quite hit the mark though. Despite using a Razer Kishi, the button layout didn't match the original Nintendo controller layout, which felt off. That left me with what seemed like the most authentic option, playing it on my Nintendo 3DS. I already had custom firmware installed on my 3DS, which made it relatively simple to play the game. All I needed was a quick download of MGBA and to drop the GBA file onto my 3DS's micro SD card. I got the game running, but immediately I could tell something was off. The game wasn't playing as smoothly as it should, and I encountered a fair number of performance issues. Random frame rate stuttering occurred at certain points, and the audio sounded terrible, really crunchy and distorted. It was a mess, and I quickly figured out why. It turns out MGBA doesn't utilize the native Game Boy hardware within the 3DS, instead running the games purely through emulation. Learning this was disappointing, but it explained why the game wasn't running optimally when my other Virtual Console GBA games were smooth as butter. Thankfully, I found a solution: the Game Boy Virtual Console Injector. With this program, I could convert my Pokémon Unbound ROM into a CIA file and install it through FBI, making it appear on my home screen as a Virtual Console game. I was genuinely impressed by how customizable these programs were, offering options for naming and visual appearance parameters. It was a blast turning not only Unbound but also other ROMs I had into CIA files. This allowed me to transfer them to my system and run them natively as they were meant to be played. It just seemed like the most logical option. After troubleshooting some minor issues with the save type format of the CIA file, I finally got the game running flawlessly. And wow, there are so many layers to this game that I can easily see why it's earned such a phenomenal reputation. The game kicks off with an immersive deep dive into the lore of its region, followed by an extensive story segment that sets the stage brilliantly. What captivated me most about the game is how it manages to be quintessentially Pokémon while simultaneously offering a unique approach. It starts off very much like a traditional Pokemon title, but as you progress towards the pivotal moment of choosing your starter Pokemon, you realize the options are completely different. In a typical Pokemon game, you choose between fire, grass, or water types. However, in Unbound, your choices are dragon, steel, and rock. To top it off, you don't even receive your starter from a Pokemon professor. Instead, you stumble across them locked in a cage. Upon releasing them, you take one as your own while your rival claims another, leaving the final Pokemon dejected as it walks away. It's a heartbreaking moment, albeit a small one, because it humanizes the Pokemon. Who would have thought to include such a poignant detail in a Pokemon game? Yet it makes perfect sense when you think about it. After all, what does happen to the Pokemon left behind when you and your rival choose your starters? This level of thoughtfulness really sets Unbound apart. Unbound boasts several noteworthy quality of life improvements. For instance, it incorporates a real-time clock function, adding a dynamic element to the game world. The character creation process is also impressively robust, offering a wide array of customization options right from the start. For those who enjoy tinkering with game settings, this ROM hack doesn't disappoint. It features multiple pages of unique settings to explore, each capable of significantly altering your gameplay experience. These thoughtful additions contribute to making Unbound feel like a more refined and personalized adventure. A particularly intriguing feature is how the game determines your ideal difficulty level through a series of questions at the start. This is a significant plus in my book, as it addresses a common divide in the Pokemon community. Many longtime fans complain that modern Pokemon games are too easy, while younger players often find older titles overly challenging. Unbound elegantly solves this by offering both an easy mode and a challenging mode, where puzzles and battles can be tailored to the player's preferences and skill level. The customization doesn't stop there. There's even an option to trigger XP share on or off. This is a godsend for players like me who prefer the classic Pokemon experience without automatic XP distribution. I suppose that makes me something of an outlier in my generation, as I enjoy a bit of a challenge when playing through a Pokemon game. But that's the beauty of Unbound. It caters to a wide range of playstyles and preferences. Playing Unbound only fueled my curiosity further. I found myself wondering if anyone had already beaten me to the punch and put this game onto a real cartridge. A quick glance at AliExpress and Etsy answered my question. It's actually quite common to find this game on physical cartridges, sometimes even complete with its own box and manual. Now, I know there's really no need to buy the game physically. In fact, the developer explicitly mentions during Unbound's boot up not to purchase the game if anyone is selling it online. However, for those who have fallen in love with the title and want to showcase it on their gaming shelf, or for those who crave a more authentic gameplay experience, buying a physical copy is definitely an option. Especially considering how affordable these can be on AliExpress. The lowest price I spotted was just $3. It's important to note, however, that purchasing from websites like AliExpress or Temu always carries some risk. You might end up with a low-quality item, or even worse, a game cartridge lacking a crucial feature like the real-time clock. This could significantly impact your gameplay experience, especially for a game like Unbound that utilizes this feature. To minimize these risks, it's important to exercise caution and thoroughly read product descriptions before making a purchase. Pay close attention to seller ratings and reviews from previous buyers. While this doesn't guarantee a perfect product, it can help you make a more informed decision and potentially avoid major disappointments. Well, there you have it. My dive into Pokemon fan games, especially Pokemon Unbound, has been quite the ride. What started with me being weirded out by fan games turned into a full-on exploration of this awesome community. Unbound really impressed me beyond belief. It keeps what we love about Pokemon games but adds so much cool stuff. The customization options, the difficulty settings, even that sad little moment with the left behind starter, it all shows how much thought went into this game. This whole experience has totally changed how I see fan games. There's so much talent in this community, and they're making some seriously impressive stuff. It's got me itching to check out more fan-made games, and not just Pokemon ones. I'm now super curious about what fans have done with other Nintendo franchises like Mario or Zelda. And that's my take on this. Thank you for watching the video. If you're someone who loves exploring the depths of the gaming community, hit that subscribe button below and turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. See you guys later!